let's show some love for Gretchen, everybody. Here comes Gretchen. Yes.
Smell is the strongest sense of memory. And for me, I have a really weird one that makes me nostalgic. And it's the combination of cigarette smoke, diesel fumes, someone sweating out garlic, and ginger coming from a Chinese restaurant. And this is the smell of Beijing. The other thing of Beijing is what's happening to me this week. I've been thinking, hey, this is totally perfect because I have been hawking and spitting. I've been spitting into a sink. There they spit on the street. Because on March 17th, 1990 was the first time I ever left the country. I'm a Denver native, and so I had these nice wide open spaces, and then I went to college in Minnesota. And I'd never been out of the country, I'd never even been to Canada or Mexico, so I decided to take it easy, dip my toe in the water and go to China. So there were a group of 30 of us on the study abroad program from Carleton College. And it was really exciting because it was the very first time that this political economy seminar had occurred. And we prepared to go, we did things like read these quaint stories about teaching English in a small Chinese village, which used to be unique, but now today you can't throw a cat with hitting somebody who listens to NPR and has taught English in China. But in 1990, this is still fairly rare, and you could actually get a book published about it. And I took Chinese classes along with my classmates, and the basic Chinese reader, which was the only Chinese textbook available at the time, had things like Qing He Cha, which is please drink tea. And then we had a phrase that was most used by the 5 senior football players that were on the trip, and that was "Yi Ping Pi Jiu," which means 1 bottle of beer. So there were about 30 of us versus the billion people in China. And you think of China and you think that, the reason to go there is these man-made wonders. You go see the Great Wall, the Forbidden City, the terracotta soldiers. But that isn't really the great wonder of China. The wonders of China is the people. The amount of people, coming from Colorado, you just cannot conceive of the total mass of people. And then you find yourselves doing, the college thing. Hey, I'm going to take the bus to get places. And you're smashed up against somebody who's apparently eaten a lot of garlic. And it's very hot. And in order to get off the bus, you do things like you start yelling 3 stops ahead of time, "Xiache," which means I'm getting off the bus. And you say that about 40 times as you trade places with people. You don't so much as move through them as trade places. One of the surprisingly most crowded places we went to was actually the Great Wall of China. You would think that this thing is long, there wouldn't be a whole lot of people there. But what they've done is they've taken all the tourists that were in China, which were a bunch of Chinese people, and then the 30 of us from Minnesota. And everybody in Beijing goes to the same gate, the Badaling Gate. So all of the Great Wall of China, that's where everybody enters. And once again, it's like you spend about an hour trading places with people in order to get anywhere on the wall. And I'll come back to the most wondrous thing that happened there. And then we went and visited some, other wondrous places like the Forbidden City, which is where the Chinese emperors used to live. And it's 400 empty buildings because when Chiang Kai-shek's regime took off to Taiwan, they took the entire contents. So if you want to see the Forbidden City, it's 400 empty buildings, and then all the contents are in Taipei. Outside of the Forbidden City, you go through the Tiananmen Gate and you get to Tiananmen Square, which is 100 acres. And for me, this is the moment that changed my life. Because it's 1990. It's less than a year after June 4th, 1989, which in China they just call it Liu Si. It's 6/4. To us, it's the Tiananmen Square Massacre. And at that time, they hadn't repaired the tank tracks or the bullet holes in the lampposts. And it was a wake-up call for me because I come from a country where we have freedom of assembly, we have freedom of speech, without thousands of us being mowed down and killed for doing so. So that's the wonder that the fact that they had 1 million people in those 100 acres that could be there. Now, on a more positive note to leave you with, at the Great Wall of China, what was great was because we'd had all this spitting going on, one of these football players decided to give it a try. And there's big winds there, and it caught this loogie, and it flew through the air, and it smacked into the face of this 10-year-old. Which is probably the most wondrous contribution that we made to the Great Wall. Thank you.